Hey guys, welcome back to our final section where we'll be showing you how to use all of the Dynamics plugins together in a mix. For this section, we'll be using our rock session that we were working on earlier. And for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll be focusing in on the chorus section of the song. The chorus section is typically the loudest part of the song, and it's important when using Dynamics plugins to get everything set here first, so we can still keep our softer sections intact without overdoing it with compression and limiting. So let's get started. First, I'll start by going over what tracks we have in our session. For the drum kit, we have a kick drum mic, a snare top and bottom mic, we have a hi-hat mic, we have a mic on each one of the rack toms, we also have a set of stereo overhead mics and a set of stereo room mics. Down below that, we have a bass guitar track, and in our folder here, I've set up a whole bunch of hand clap tracks that we recorded. Then we have 2 lead guitar tracks and 2 rhythm guitar tracks. And for our groups, we have a kick drum group, we have a snare drum group where our snare top and bottom mics are being sent, we have a group for our toms, and then we have our main group for our drums. Now our kick group, snare group, and toms group are all being sent to this drum bus, as well as the overhead mics, the room mics, and the hi-hat mic. All of our guitars are being sent to their own group, and all of our hand claps are being sent to their own group as well. And we'll go ahead and play it back just so you can hear what it sounds like without any of our Dynamics plugins. Now, the most common signal flow when using our Dynamics plugins is to start with our noise gates and expanders, and then we'll follow that with our de-essers, and then the compressors, and then finally our limiting. And I like to start with the drums because they're just the most tedious ones to set up. So we'll go ahead and start by setting up the gates on our drums. Now for the snare bottom mic, what I like to do is to set up a gate that's sidechained from our snare top mic. Since we already have the snare top gated, we can use that sound from the snare drum to trigger the gate effect for our snare bottom mic. Now we'll go ahead and start working on our toms. And we'll go ahead and loop this section where our tom fill is at the end of the phrase. To save time, I've gone ahead and gated the rest of the toms. And now we'll move forward by setting up the gate on our claps group. Now our hi-hat track, our overheads, and our room mics typically don't get a gate. So now we'll go ahead and use our de-esser. And I like to use the de-esser on the hi-hat and the overhead mics because it gets rid of some of the harsh high-end sound. So we'll go ahead and start with our hi-hat. And then we'll move to our overheads. Now, one thing you may have noticed when we were playing back our kick drum is it sounded a little bit thin and it was lacking low end. Now, we could certainly use an EQ to boost up the low end, but I'm going to show you a little trick here that you can use with a gate. We'll start by setting up an audio track here. We'll go ahead and put in a signal generator here. Now what we want to do with the signal generator is get a really low frequency going on. So we'll go ahead and drop this down to about 45 Hertz. When we play it back, you'll hear a really low tone coming out. Now we wouldn't want that sound playing through our entire session. So what we can do is set up a gate after the signal generator, and then sidechain this gate with the attack from our kick drum. Now when we play this back, you'll hear our kick signal trigger the gate that's on our test generator. And this is where we can use our attack and release on the gate to get a sound that fits in with our kick drum. And now we can balance the low end of the kick drum just by moving the fader up and down that our test generator is on. Now if you remember from the section where we were looking at the multiband compressor, there's a couple of low notes in the bass guitar that we have to get control of. And now that we have control of the low end of the bass guitar, now we can start getting the kick drum and the bass guitar to play together. So we'll go ahead and set up a compressor with a sidechain on the bass guitar, and we'll feed our kick signal into the sidechain. It's a subtle effect, but it'll make a big difference later. Now we'll move on to our kick drum group and get some of those dynamics under control. Let's go and solo our claps group and see what we can do to help those out. So you can hear that the hand claps are a very dynamic signal. And this is where we can use our envelope shaper as an effect to bring out some of the room tone and to tame down some of the transients to give us a more even sound. And we can even amplify that effect by using our maximizer plugin. Now our hand claps occur at the same time as our snare drum, so let's start focusing on the snare drum. So now let's start working on getting the snare and clap transients in tune with each other. And moving forward, we'll go to our toms again. So here we'll take a quick break and we'll continue on in the next section.